Hey everyone, Jason here, aspiring entrepreneur and digital marketing consultant. And in this ultimate YouTube ads tutorial, we are going to go to A to Z and everything in between to set up your profitable YouTube ads. So we're going to be going through my slideshow presentation here, and we're also going to be jumping into my AdWords account, walking through the entire process of setting up your campaigns from scratch, as well as some potential pitfalls to watch out for so you don't waste any ad dollars. And because this is such a long tutorial, there's a detailed timestamp table of contents in the description, because sometimes I know I talk a little fast, or if you have a specific question, you can check that timestamp table of contents out to just jump to the section that's going to help you the most, especially if you're coming back to this video as you set up your campaigns. So I'm going to go over some basics, and then we're going to go into the 5 steps for successfully setting up your YouTube ads campaign as a beginner. So I just want to start by answering the question, why the heck YouTube ads? And this ties into Google ads in general, and it's something that's different from Facebook ads, which is compared to a lot. And the reason YouTube ads are so powerful is you can target people based upon what they're doing and what they're actively interested in. You see, unlike other platforms like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, where you're trying to do interruption style ads, YouTube ads, you can serve ads to people who are actively looking for your products or services, or are already actively engaging in the same type of content that your channel has. So it's a much more seamless transition to, hey, you're looking for XYZ service, I have this. Or if someone's looking at makeup tutorials or they're looking at car parts, you can serve your ads directly to those people who are actively looking to buy. And of course, if you're looking to grow your YouTube channel, these are definitely going to help you as well. They've been a tremendous help to myself and some of my coaching students. And the other reason is they are dirt cheap right now. You can get views for 1 cent if you follow some of the things I'm about to show you. And the reason they're so cheap, and they're not going to be like this forever, I'm actually going to be showing you how Google is about to increase the cost of the ads, but I'll show you how to avoid that cost increase in a little bit here. And because big advertisers have been scared off of the platform by some of the types of content that's on YouTube, the costs are super, super low. So there are 3 big rules for beginners. Again, timestamp table of contents if you need to just dive straight into the meat. So the first is keep it simple. I say this in almost every single advertising tutorial. There are a lot of bells and whistles in here. There's a lot of data going on. You can see that I have run a lot of campaigns, almost 50 as the time of this recording. So I know a thing or two about overcomplicating, and I want you to keep it simple because it doesn't have to be complicated in order for you to be successful. Now, key number 2 is sticking to one campaign goal. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to assume you're looking for one of 3 things. You're looking for leads or sales to your own website, landing page, or e-commerce site. You're looking to get more subscribers, or you're looking to just get more views on a video. And depending upon what you want to do, your campaign needs to be set up differently, just like your ads need to be set up differently. So here I have in-stream for the first 2 and discovery for the next 2. Now we'll briefly go over in-stream and discovery, even though I'm pretty sure you are well acquainted with what they are by now. So in-stream ads are those annoying ads that pop up and you have the opportunity to skip them after 5 seconds of watching your video. The key note with these is you only pay after someone watches 30 seconds. So even if they don't skip in the first 5 to 10 seconds, if they skip before the 30-second mark, you don't pay anything, which is another great reason to use YouTube ads over something like Facebook, where it's 3 seconds. Here you have a whole 30 seconds, so you know if you pay, they've actually seen the important part of your video. And of course, we'll get into the video script and what to do in that first 30 seconds to get more engagement and get more interactions, and of course, get more clicks. So the next type is discovery. And so discovery shows up across YouTube as a suggested video or in YouTube search, and you can actually decide if you want to be in search or if you just want to be as suggested, but we'll go through that in some of the advanced settings. Again, you only pay if they watch at least 30 seconds. That does it for our 2 ad types. And the final key to success as a beginner is making one campaign. I'm serious about this. Make one campaign. I'm going to reiterate this over and over again. And finally, just a quick warning that some of what I'm about to talk about will seem OCD and seem way over the top, and it will seem like I'm going into way too much detail. And the reason that I will be doing this is because, number 1, I want you to be successful, and number 2, I hate seeing client accounts where they've wasted money. I have gone into accounts and we've had to scratch everything because the campaigns weren't set up correctly. And when you don't have clean data, you can't make informed business decisions or improve your marketing for the future. So that's why we're going to be so detailed, because I don't want you to waste a dime on an advertising campaign that gives you bad data and doesn't allow you to improve your marketing in the future. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the very first step. And this is where we're actually going to kick things off with being OCD, and that is your campaign structure. So with your campaign structure, there are two little keys here that I want you to keep in mind in the back of your head as we go through all of these diagrams. The first is you want to have one video per campaign. So that means if you have multiple videos you want to run ads to, keeping with key number 3 to success as a beginner, choose one of them and use that as we go through this. Now, if you only have one video, then you're going to want to be really cognizant about what location you want to target and the networks you want to target. That's going to make a whole lot more sense in a second here. So inside the Google Ads interface, when you log in, you'll probably log in and you'll see this overview. And what you'll do is you'll go ahead and click on campaigns, which is the screen I was at, and then you'll click this giant blue plus button up at the top, and you're going to be given some options. Now, when it comes to your options, you're just going to click create without and then click video. So in this entire tutorial, we are focused on creating video. So I'm going to go back over the presentation now. And so these are the different types of ads you can run with Google Ads. And of course, we're going to be focusing on video for the rest of this tutorial. Check out links in the description to how to do search ads and other types of Google Ads. So here, there are 3 main types of campaigns. The first type of campaign or video that we're going to be doing is for leads and sales. So if you're trying to drive people to a landing page to get their email addresses, or you're trying to drive people to your e-commerce store, leads and sales is going to be what you're going to focus on in this tutorial. If you want more subscribers or you want more views, those are going to be the other 2 types of campaigns and videos to promote that we're going to talk about. So let's go through this diagram to go through the basics of how your account is going to be structured. At the very, very top, we have campaigns. So if we go back to my AdWords interface and I just click cancel here, this list, these are all campaigns. So this is the very, very top level of everything that you will be working on. Inside of the campaigns, you're going to have something called ad groups. So you can see here, I have 2 ad groups inside of my campaign. Is a sub-organization underneath your campaigns. And then finally, you have your actual ads. And so you can click on, if I click on an ad group here, you can see that there's one video under this ad group. So you can see at the top, we have our account, our campaign, then our ad group, and now we're looking at our ad. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, but we're going to use the diagram because it's a lot easier to see and visualize. Now, the reason this structure is so important is because we're actually going to be testing different variables at each level of your campaign, your ad group, and your ads. So at the campaign level, we're going to be testing your location targeting, we're going to be testing your placements, and we're going to be testing your networks. And we'll get into each one of those in a second here. Then at the ad group level, we're going to be testing your targeting. This is where we're looking at different audiences. And finally, your ads, we're going to be testing different ad creatives. So different headlines, different opening hooks. We'll get into a very simple video formula that you can use to quickly write your own videos and figure out your messaging. And now what is important to remember is that we are doing all of this with one video per campaign. So a campaign that looks like this is a no-go. Campaign that looks like this is good because we want one video per campaign. If you have more than one video in a campaign, it's going to make your data really, really messy, and it's going to be extremely difficult to figure out what's actually working and what's not. And this is simply because of the way Google Ads reports some of your placement data. You actually have to be this OCD and granular. What you will be doing inside of your ad groups is testing multiple versions of the same video. And when we get into the script writing, you'll see how to make multiple variations. So this is what your campaign is eventually going to look like. And that's why I recommend starting with one campaign, because there's a lot that goes into putting together a successful campaign. So again, to reiterate, because I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, at the campaign level, we're testing locations, networks, and placements. So I want to talk about what exactly your video should be about, because we only have one video per campaign. So we should take a step back a little bit and say, what are we going to focus on? What are we going to be promoting in our video? So there are a couple things that you can promote. If you're a digital products based business, you're selling a digital product or selling a course, then driving people to a page where you collect their name and email to follow up with them is a great way to go. Driving people directly to a sales video or a sales page, you're going to see almost zero conversions on that unless you're doing a remarketing campaign. If you are a services-based business, then offering some sort of free audit or free sales call or free strategy call is a great way to go. E-commerce, you're going to want to be offering your doorbusters. So this is those things that are an impulse buy, and you're really going to want to dial in your targeting so that someone is watching a makeup video or they're watching a workout video and then they immediately see your makeup ad or your protein powder ad. And that is a great way to get people to buy immediately because they're already in that mindset of looking for things. And so that's why in-market audiences are going to be super helpful for e-commerce. If you're growing your YouTube channel, then chances are you have a YouTube commercial. And so you're going to shoot a YouTube commercial essentially telling people why they should subscribe. Or if you have a content video and you just want to get more views out there and you don't want to make a special video, then we're going to be promoting content videos, which is something that I do a lot that's very effective. So before you dive into the YouTube interface, we're going to be going through this step by step in this tutorial. Choose one of these video ads. Like choose what you're going to do now. This is going to determine your campaign goal, and it's going to also help you as you go through the rest of this video tutorial. So now that we know what you're going to be promoting, what video you are ready for step number 2, which is your research. And this is where we're going to start going into targeting. And Google Ads defines targeting in 2 major groups. Group number 1, people, who you want to reach, and group number 2, content, where you want your video to be. So one is about who's watching and the other is about the content that's being presented. And so just to quickly review, we're doing a video ad campaign. So there's different types of targeting. You may have heard of different types of targeting based upon other campaign types. In this tutorial, I'm going to be focusing on audiences, channels, and remarketing because that's what's most effective for YouTube and getting good quality, cheap views. So now I'm going to head over to the AdWords interface and I'm going to click the big blue button to start a campaign. And I'm going to go ahead and skip all of their campaign goals and just click on video because you want maximum control. So as we set up the new campaign here, I'm just going to scroll down so you can see how they present all of the different targeting options that you have. We will go through this interface in detail later in this tutorial. So I'm going to scroll down here, and this is something that you're going to be defining at the ad group level. So you can see here we have people and we have content. So you can see we have demographics, audiences, keywords, topics, and placements. So that's all we need to know for now. We're going to jump back over and we're going to dive into detail into the different types of targeting we have here. So targeting people, we have demographics. And for the most part, demographics is something that we're going to leave alone unless you have data or you have a very clear picture of who your ideal viewer or customer is from previous analytics. Assume nothing, analyze everything when it comes to YouTube ads. So unless you have data that tells you what the demographics should be, just leave them alone. Next, we have audiences inside of targeting, and we have affinity, in-market, similar, and remarketing. So affinity audiences, these are just general interests and habits. So this is someone who's generally interested in a certain type of topic, whereas in-market is designed to be audiences or groups of people who are actively looking to buy. So if you're looking for lead generation or driving traffic to your e-commerce site, that's probably one of the great places to start. Then we have similar, which is great if you have a YouTube channel. So if you're doing YouTube content, then similar and remarketing are going to be very helpful because Google will automatically make audiences for you based upon different types of people who interact with your content, channel, and website. Next, we have targeting by content. So targeting by content, we have keywords, which aren't really all that helpful when it comes to YouTube. They're kind of nebulous. And then we have topics. Now, what's really important to understand is keywords and topics are attempting to accomplish the same thing, and that is just generally going after a subject matter. So it's very, very broad. Definitely don't recommend using these two types for almost any type, but we'll get into that in a second. And finally, we have placements, so you can target specific applications in the Google App Store and the Apple App Store, as well as specific websites, videos, and channels. And when it comes to targeting, we're actually only going to focus on these. So age, gender, affinity, in-market, similar and remarketing, I'll get to in a second, and then finally videos and channels, and really the rest we can just ignore. Now, you can always go back and test these later, right? I'm never saying never use any of these, but when you're just getting started, you want to go for the audiences and targeting that are going to provide the best results to you and get you the best data the fastest. And the reason you want to collect that data the fastest is as you go through this process, eventually your similar and remarketing lists are going to be your top 2 traffic sources. And that's because as you drive traffic, whether you're driving traffic to get views and subscribers, or you're driving traffic to get leads to your business, or you want more purchases for your e-commerce store, whatever that action you're looking for people to take as a result of viewing your ad, Google is going to make a list of people similar to that in the background. So for example, let's say you're driving YouTube ads to your channel because you want more subscribers. Well, as you get more and more subscribers, Google and YouTube are going to get a better idea of the type of person that makes a great subscriber, someone who actually enjoys your content. The same is true for someone who buys on your website or opts into your landing page. And as that audience gets bigger and bigger, Google gets better and better in understanding the profile of that person. And eventually you're going to be able to sit back on your laurels and use similar audiences to say, hey, Google, here are all what my subscribers look like. Go find me more, and it will. And your click-through rates will go up, and your costs will go down, your engagement will go up. It's a magical thing. But to get there, we have to use things like affinity and in-market and targeting specific channels and videos. And so the green is how we get to the red, because once we get in the red, it is smooth, easy sailing, and you don't actually have to do a lot of work, but it takes quite a bit of data to get there. So now I want to talk about the ad group level and the 2 different types of targeting that we should be looking at depending upon your campaign goal. So if your goal for your campaign is to drive leads or sales to your website, then channels and in-market audiences are the best places to start. Like I mentioned earlier, similar and remarketing are going to be great, but when you're just getting started, there's not enough data, let alone enough people who've been cookied in order for those 2 audiences to really be of any help or usefulness. So focusing on channels and in-marketing when you're starting for leads and sales is definitely the way to go. Now, if you're going for channel growth, so you want more views, you want more subscribers, then targeting channels and affinity audiences are where you want to start. And then eventually, again, you'll be able to use your remarketing lists and your similar lists to drive more subscribers and views. And the reason that you want to use affinity here instead of in-market is affinity tends to be less expensive. In-market is a little more targeted, and they're people who are looking to buy. And so other advertisers are bidding up the prices on those audiences versus affinity, because it's more general. It's not as general as topics where you're going to get everyone under the sun, but it's general enough where most of the people who are trying to get leads and sales aren't bidding up the cost of targeting that audience. And so that's what makes it really great. So these are your options, but I do want to take another step back and talk about your ideal viewer, because these options are only as good as your ability to choose the right ones, because there are a lot of different options in here. So if I jump over to my AdWords interface and I'm just going to click on audiences and I'm going to click on interests and habits, you can see that they have a long list for you here. And if I scroll down to content, obviously keywords you'd have to type in, but if you go to their topic section, they have a lot of topics for you. So there's a lot you can choose here, but you definitely don't want to dive into this list until you know who you want to target. And that's where figuring out your ideal viewer comes in. So you want to be crystal clear on who your ideal viewer is, or who your ideal customer is, your ideal client, and then identifying what content are they already engaging with? What content are they already watching? And so that's how you start to make your master list of in-market and affinity. So once you're pretty clear on who you should be targeting, in this particular example, I'm just going to target people who want to do YouTube ads. It's a little meta since we're doing YouTube ads tutorial. Start by clicking on affinity or custom affinity. We're not going to get into custom affinity here. And then I'm going to go through this list, and all I need to do is click through to find audiences that I think would represent people who care about YouTube ads, right? So I'm going to scroll down here, book lovers, comics, media. And so I'm just going to jump cut to a list. And 2 minutes later, you can see here that I went through all of the different audiences that they had, and I found business professionals and maybe mobile enthusiasts would be interested in learning how to use YouTube ads to grow their channel or drive traffic to their business. So I have those interests, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on the in-market audiences. They're going to be a little more expensive, but I'm going to go ahead and click on in-market and research to see if I can find any in-market audiences that I think will be a good fit. And fast forward again, you can see I've gone through this entire list, and you can go top level, and then there's subsections and subsections. Always go down to the lowest you can and then click each one up, because each one represents a different audience. So you can see here I have 2 affinity audiences and 1, 2, 3, 4 different in-market audiences. So what I would do is I'd either take a screenshot or just add this to my Evernote or your Evernote or OneNote, wherever you keep notes. You want to create a comprehensive list of all of the possible audiences, and if you really want to be granular, you can go through topics as well and make a list, but you want to make a list of all of the different audiences that you might target. So here I have I have a total of 6, and so here I would choose 3 to start. So my first ad group would have 3 of these audiences. And because I've made a list, I know in the future when I do testing, I can go back and choose another couple of these audiences to group them together. So I might do a group of the 2 affinity audiences, and then a group of the business productivity software and video software, and then I might do a group of advertising and marketing services. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 3, but 3 is a good rule of thumb to start when you have your ad group. So for the ad group, I would just choose, let's just say I choose the first 3 and I'd X these 3 out, but I've written them down for coming up with a later campaign. So that's how you put together a list of in-market and affinity audiences to test. Now, YouTube channels. So the best way to research YouTube channels is to search information as if you were your ideal customer, right? Or your ideal viewer. Like, what are they already looking for? So I'm going to go over to YouTube, and what you want to do is actually go into incognito mode. So you can see here, I'm in private browsing or incognito mode, and then go ahead and type in what you want to look for. So in this particular instance, I'm looking for YouTube advertising, YouTube ads, YouTube advertising, right? So once you've done the search, you actually don't need to watch any of the videos. Just go ahead and hit Control on a window, Command on a Mac, and click to open up their actual channel pages. So to save a little bit of time, I've opened up just a couple that I know are going to work, and go through their channel to see if they create the type of content that your ideal customer or viewer would be watching. It's not always going to be obvious. Sometimes you have to go through and really see if it's relevant, but one of the keys to doing this is not actually always just looking at their content, but looking at the related channels. So here, video creators, I'm kind of cheating because I know that they do a lot of stuff on being successful with YouTube, and they even say it in their channel banner. What you can do is scroll down to related channels and check out these other creators that YouTube is suggesting. And it's a very fast and easy way to find good lists of channels to target. So I've actually done the work ahead of time. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to show you that I just made a Google sheet of all of the different channels that represented creators and content who are talking to other YouTube creators and talk about YouTube ads. And once you have a list like this, you're actually going to want to get their entire channel URL, because you need their channel ID for inside of AdWords. Is go ahead again, make a list of 3 to start with. So you're going to have 3 audiences to start with, you're going to have 3 channels to start with, and you just want to figure out, does targeting channels make more sense, or does targeting audiences make more sense? And so your initial ad groups will look something like this. You'll have 1 ad group for channels, 1 ad group for in-market, and then 1 ad group for affinity. So for me, I have my 3 YouTube channels, then I have the affinity audience I can target here, and some in-market audiences I could target here. So that would, for me, represent 3 different ad groups. So at this point, I hope if you're still with me and you're getting some value, go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know that you're still watching and you're enjoying this content and it's actually helpful. So at this point, we know what type of video you're going to make. We know the audience you want to target, and now it is time for the actual video ad itself, and we're going to go through the video ad copy formula. And following our keep it simple trend and just one of everything, successful ads have one goal. So I hope you're noticing a trend here where we're just doing a lot of one and not trying to do multiple things at once. So there's 2 typical goals you're going to have for your ad, depending upon what type of campaign you're setting up. You're either going to be looking for subscribers because you want to grow your channel, or you're looking for clicks. If you're just driving views, you don't really have to worry about that because you're just driving traffic to a content video. So what's very important here is your ad script should determine your video creative. So before you dive into figuring out all these fancy things you want to do with your video or your graphics or your B-roll shots or your action shots, just hold off on being super creative for a little bit longer, then you can unleash the floodgates. And if that doesn't sound like you, then you're really going to like this because it's going to be very, very simple and very, very basic. So there are a few rules of thumb before we get into actually writing the ad and the YouTube ad script. The first is what to test. You're going to be testing the first 30 seconds of your YouTube ad. Just like any other type of advertising, you want to have some element that you're testing. With discovery ads, you can change the headline and the little description, which kind of makes a difference. But here I'm assuming that you're recording a special video for an in-stream ad because you want more subscribers, or you're looking to drive traffic off of YouTube to your e-com store or to drive leads or grow your services business. So the ad style is something that you can play with as well, but really the first 30 seconds is what's going to matter most. The next is how long should the video be? You want to aim for 90 seconds to up to 2 minutes. And the reason is because people can see how long the ad actually is. So if you have an ad that's 5 or 10 minutes long, sure, that can work. And I have seen it work. So I'm not saying never try it or never do it. Just keep in mind that people are going to either be happy to see that it's 10 minutes long or just go, no way do I want to devote 10 minutes and just automatically skip in the first 5 seconds. So just keep in mind that discovery ads can be longer because they can't see how long the video is before they click on the ad. And finally, you want to give your viewers a chance to take the action you need them to take, which is click the link in the top right on mobile or bottom left on desktop. And so to do that, you want arrows to pop up when you start asking them to click the link, and you want a static end screen for 20 to 30 seconds to get people to click and give them a chance to click after they've watched your entire ad. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the ad formula. Now, this is just a general outline. There's no hard and fast rules when it comes to video ads. There's a lot of creative room for you to run with when it comes to YouTube ads, unlike some other formats. So the first 30 seconds is your hook, and this is what you're going to be testing. So you're actually going to want to write and record multiple hooks, and your hook is simply calling out to the ideal customer or viewer and telling them why they should keep watching your ad and why they should care. What are you going to do for them? So a great example of this, sticking with the YouTube ads ad, is saying, hey, are you a creator and tired of not getting views to your videos? Or do your YouTube ad campaigns not get you the results you're looking for? Those are really terrible examples. But the point is to have something that calls out specifically to who you want to be watching the ad and actually repel everybody else who shouldn't be watching the ad, because you don't want to pay for people who aren't qualified. So make sure you qualify everyone and then push everyone away who's not qualified. To keep the qualified people watching, you talk about why they should keep watching. You give them a benefit or a reason. The next part is you want to go straight into a call to action. So you spent the first 30 seconds saying, hey, this is for, ABC type people, and it's going to do XYZ for you. So everyone who's not ABC and isn't interested in XYZ result have left. Right? So now just hit them with a call to action right off the bat. Say, click the link top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop to get your free YouTube ads course or your free YouTube ads cheat sheet so you can rank your videos faster without spending hours writing a YouTube description or something to that effect. So that's how you do your call to action, and you immediately go into the value proposition, and your value proposition is telling people why they should take action, what makes what you're offering better or different than everyone else. And then if you're advertising to a cold audience, spend maximum 5 to 10 seconds with some sort of credibility as to why they should be listening to you. So sticking with the YouTube example, I would show a couple of screenshots of videos that I've ranked. So it shows that I actually can rank videos, and that's what I do in some of the ads that I run. The next part is where you have the most creative space, and this is where you present the benefits and handle common objections behind whatever you're offering. So in the YouTube example, I would start talking about how easy it is to get views, or how easy it is to rank, or how fast your channel is going to grow once you start ranking videos. And then to handle some common objections, I would talk about this works for small channels. You don't have to use YouTube ads if you don't want to. You don't have to spend hours writing a description. You don't have to use scraping software. You know, I can go on, but essentially you want to talk about, hey, you're going to get all this cool stuff. You're going to achieve these awesome results without doing all the stuff that you hate. And that's what you do for 45 to 60 seconds. Then something that I like adding is the big mistake or common myth. And this is a great way to position you opposite or different from other advertisers in your space. So if you have a belief or you have a strategy that's counter to a generally accepted practice or principle in your niche, then go ahead and say that here. So this is your chance to say something somewhat provocative to really snap people to see, oh, this guy or gal is different. Like they're not just pitching me the same thing that I see all the time. Like true. And then finally, the call to action end of the video is telling them to click top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop. And I'll show you an example of how to do the end screen. And so that's really all there is to the ad. You engage with them in the beginning, you tell them what to do, you tell them why it's so important, then you talk about all the benefits that they're going to get, all the things they don't have to do, then you point out a mistake they're making or a common belief or misconception that they have that's actually holding them back from what they want, and then you end again with a call to action, top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop with the end screen. Now, what's really important as you're recording is you take multiple takes. So even if you feel like you nailed it the first time, just do it over and over and over again. That way you have a lot of different takes and you have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to your editing, especially if you find out that maybe lighting was bad in one situation or the mic suddenly cut out. The other thing to do is when you're doing your script is to focus on the script reading and then add in all the other extra stuff. So chances are you've seen some ads where people, they just have their phone and they've memorized their script and they're walking around their big house, or, you know, they're walking through their recording studio. Like stuff like that is really cool. But if you're not used to memorizing things and walking and talking at the same time, it can be a little awkward and it can hurt your performance. So if you're just starting out, go ahead and just do a talking video or do a voiceover and then do all of the action shots. And it will also help you stay relaxed and more personable when you're delivering the video content. So here is an example of one of my video projects. And you can see here in the beginning, I actually have 6 different hooks. So I start the first 30 seconds different 6 different times. And this is what allows me to test the messaging in my ads. Then after that 60 seconds, the rest is the same. So you want to do something similar when you're putting together your ads. You don't have to go crazy like I did with 6, but at least have 2 or 3 different intros so you can test out your messaging. Now in your video editing, you're actually going to want to add a place when you say top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop, you want something to pop up that points to where people should click, because people still aren't 100% used to YouTube ads, which is a good thing. So you need to tell them what to do. And then at the end of the video, have a blank screen, 20 to 30 seconds, where it looks something like this, telling them to click the link. Because what you don't want to do is have your ad running and then all of a sudden it just ends, right? I see that so many times. I'm watching an ad, I'm engaged, and then all of a sudden it ends, and I never had a chance to click the link. I never had a chance to take the call to action because I was so engaged with the ad. So take a deep breath. We're still doing good. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment in the comment section below. I will be reading and replying to every single one. And of course, there's a timestamp table of contents. So at this point, we are finally ready to actually start building the campaign. You figured out what your video ad should be. You've done your targeting research, and you've written and recorded your video ad. So you're ready to rock and roll. Now, here are my recommended settings for your first YouTube ads campaign. Set the budget at $250 a day, regardless of how much money you're ready to spend or burn. Start date tomorrow morning. Network, search, and video. We're going to do language in your country. So for me, it's going to be the US English. It's going to be in the US. Bidding strategy, standard, cost per click. We're going to do the entire inventory. I'll get to that in a second because that's how you're going to keep your ad costs very low. We're going to frequency cap at 3 impressions per day, and we're going to do an even ad rotation. So with that, it's Finally, time to jump into the AdWords interface. So I want to stress all of the work we've done is we should be doing all of this before we actually dive into setting up this campaign. So I'm going to go up here and I'm actually just going to exit out of this. I'm going to leave. So we start with a fresh, clean slate. So inside of your Google Ads account, if you haven't set up a Google Ads account, you can just search Google Ads and you can set up this free account. And the first thing you're actually going to want to do is to connect your YouTube channel. So to do that, you're going to come up here to Tools and you're going to click on Linked Accounts. And when linked accounts loads, you'll be able to connect to all of these different applications. And here we're going to click on YouTube. So I'm just going to go ahead and click details. And then we'll be able to, you can see my channel is already linked, but if we want to link a new one, we just click add channel. And then you can either search for your channel or paste your channel URL in here and just follow the basic instructions to get your channel set up and connected. So you definitely want that connected. Now, the other thing we want to do before we set up our campaigns is come up here to Tools once we have connected our YouTube account and click on Audience Manager. And inside of Audience Manager, this is where we're going to start setting up our remarketing lists. So it's very important that you set up your remarketing list now because you want these collecting data for you. So you can see here, I have a couple of remarketing lists, and to set up these remarketing lists, all you have to do is click on the big blue button up here, and then you're going to click on YouTube users. Now you can set up remarketing lists for interactions on your website as well. So you'll go ahead and give this a name. I always just put RM in front of it so I know it's a remarketing list, and then what the remarketing list is. So you can do this for views, you can do this for subs, you can do this for likes or comments. And so what you can do is viewed any, you can see all of the different options you have here. So there are a couple that I recommend doing. So I'm going to say viewed any on the channel, and I'm just going to make this example views all. And go ahead and click on membership duration, and the maximum is 540 days. So you can do 540 days and then go ahead and click create. Now I'm going to click cancel so you can see the remarketing list that I recommend setting up. I recommend setting up all at minimum video views all, like what we just did, for 540 days, 90 days, 30 days, and then 5 or 10 days if you're driving leads. So if you're doing leads, you want to do that 5 or 10 days, and YouTube will automatically, or I should say Google Ads will automatically make these similar audiences for you. So the more remarketing audiences you make, the more similar audiences you're going to have. So there you go. That's how you set those up nice and quick. So we're going to go back to our campaigns now, and we're actually going to put together our first campaign. So it's taking me to overview, and from your overview, you're going to go ahead and click on campaigns, and then in campaigns, you're going to click the giant blue button. So once you click that giant blue button, you're going to want to skip all of these. These are just for helping you decide your action, but you're watching this tutorial, so you're good to go actually having full control over your campaign. We're selecting video because we want to do YouTube ads, and we'll go ahead and click continue. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and give your campaign a name. So I think it's very important to have a standardized naming convention. Mine is a little obsessive compulsive, but that's just me. That doesn't mean you have to have the same thing. Okay, so you go ahead and give your campaign a name, and then budget type daily, and we'll just leave it at $250 a day. For delivery method, unless you're trying to spend your money really fast for some reason, just go ahead and leave it standard. For our start date, we'll just select, you can either select today or you can select the next day. So I'm just going to select the next date. I'm not going to have an end date. If you are on a very tight budget, please set an end date. The worst thing that can happen is you forget about it for some reason, and then you get a huge bill from Google, which, by the way, they are not very merciful when it comes to having your budget just run through. So make sure you add an end date if you don't want the if you're not going to be checking your campaigns. So here for networks, YouTube search results, YouTube videos. Remember, we talked in the very beginning about where display shows up. We're going to uncheck video partners. If you want to test video partners, make a separate campaign where you include video partners. And go ahead, languages, I'm going to have English. And then for locations, I'm going to leave it at United States. Something that's pretty ninja you can do in the future is you can actually get really granular and target specific zip codes or specific big cities or specific states or territories in your country. So that's also something you can test. And what's really nice is the more targeting location data you put in here, the more data Google will give back. So right now, because I only set it to US, it's only going to tell me when I go into my analytics, it's only going to tell me how many views or clicks I got via US. If I I entered in all 50 states, it'll tell me US, and then it will tell me all 50 states. If I put in the top 15 or 20 major cities in the US, it will tell me how those top 15 or 20 major cities did. So the more data you put in here, the more data you're going to get back. But at $250 a day, you're probably going to be spending a lot of money before you get there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank. And then bidding strategy, maximum cost per view, you're good to go. That's what you want. And then inventory type. So this is probably going to be a little controversial. And I know I'm counter to a lot of other advertisers. Personally, as long as I know that I'm targeting the right people, I don't care what they're watching. And so this right here is actually something new that Google Ads has recently come out with because of all of the big advertisers leaving their platform. And this represents the type of content that you are going to be able to have your ads on. So if you're really concerned about branding, or you're concerned about graphic content or controversial content, then go ahead and leave it at standard or do limited. Standard and limited is going to be more expensive. Personally, I don't care what you're watching as long as you're interested in what I have to offer you. So I use expanded inventory, and my costs are significantly lower because less people want to use expanded inventory. And so you can go down here again, excluded content and excluded content types. This you can see is going away in a month because it's being replaced by this. And excluded types and labels, you can get pretty granular on the types of videos you don't want to show up on. Actually, I don't want to show up on live streaming or embedded videos or games. So I'm going to leave that. I want to show up on normal YouTube videos, but I don't care what kind of normal YouTube video it is. Now, note here, I know this is controversial and I'm going to get some comments about this. So I do want to be really clear. YouTube does a good job of demonetizing bad videos, right? So this is just like an extra layer protection over the YouTube monetization nanny state. So you really don't have to worry about your video showing up on something super, super bad or super, super graphic. The YouTube algorithm takes care of most of that stuff. Every once in a while, something slips through the cracks, but I don't think it's worth paying extra. But that's just me. Okay, so going on now, additional settings. There are a couple things that we can do in here. Frequency capping is what I want to talk about. Devices, I just leave it alone. I want no more than 3 impressions per day. So if I show up 3 times and they skip my ad 3 times, okay, fine. They don't want to skip, they don't want to watch it, they don't want to click it. I'll let them go for the day, but I'm definitely going to hit them up again the next day. Views, keep in mind, views represents people who've watched at least 30 seconds or more. So unless you're spending a lot of money, this actually isn't going to be a big issue. And of course, in your analytics, you'll be able to see the frequency of how many times your ads are showing to people. So if people are starting to get bored, you're going to see that in your data. So I'm going to leave it at 3 impressions. Ad schedule, this is another thing you can do. You can actually cut up a day into 4-hour chunks. So if you really, really want to be granular, you can go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you can set up a 4-hour time block. So you'd go 12 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, right? So you can go through and do that. And what's also nice is just like the location data, if you put all of those time blocks in, you're going to see what time of day your ad performs. Again, I'm only doing $250 a day. I'm not going to collect enough data for that to matter here. And now you've created the campaign. So you can see here, create ad group. Everything we just did is for the campaign, right? So that's all it took to set up the campaign. We clicked a couple boxes and we checked a couple things, and now the campaign is set up. So now that we've set up our campaign, I'm going to go back so we can be really clear. So we've set up the first level. The first level is done. Campaign is done. Now it's time for the ad group. So in the ad group, we're going to choose our targeting, right? So again, we can go our demographics. I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to let the data tell me what demographics work and what demographics don't. So for audiences, I'm actually going to use a similar audience for this example, just to keep it really simple. So I'm going to click on remarketing. Then I'm going to click on YouTube users, and I'm going to look for similar to viewers. Similar to all viewers, 3.4 million people. That's plenty to target. Now, if I was doing this, if I was doing a channel ad group, for example, I would come down here to placements, and then I would click on, where is it? YouTube channels. And I'd go over to my handy dandy Excel sheet here, and I just take the channel IDs. So I'll copy these first 3 channel IDs, And then I'll go back over to AdWords, and I'd go ahead and copy these 3 channels because I only want 3 channels. And then you can either type in the channel ID here or multiple placements. I'm going to click that and do 1 on each line, add 3 placements, and there are the 3 channels that I get to target. Again, you're going to want to select one of these. So you're either going to do similar, or you're going to do channels, or to make things super confusing, you'll be choosing an affinity or in-market audience. So again, earlier in the tutorial, we went through and we found 2 affinity audiences. So I would go ahead and click on those and add those here as the ad group. I'll go through how to make another ad group once you're done. So because I just want similar audiences for this one, I'm going to clear that. And now it's time for the actual YouTube ad. So when you upload your YouTube ad, you want to upload your YouTube ad as unlisted, not private, because private, it's not going to work properly. You want to upload it as unlisted. And unless you're doing discovery ads, make sure that you disable all of the comments features on the ad, because you don't want comments being able to be put on a in-stream ad, because most of the time when people comment, they're just saying mean things because they don't like watching ads. So here we're gonna look for one of my YouTube ads tutorial videos, and let's choose one that doesn't have a lot of views. This one only has 163. And then here we get to choose in-stream or video discovery. If this was an ad that was driving traffic to a landing page or e-commerce sales page, then I would click in-stream. And if this was driving traffic directly to my channel for people to subscribe, I would click in-stream. However, this, I just want people to watch this video. I want to get more views to this video to hopefully help it rank because it only has 163 views. So here I'm going to be selecting a video discovery ad. So you can see here it's going to show up and people are going to have the option to click it. It's not automatically going to play when someone's watching a video. So I'm going to leave the thumbnail the way it is, and I'd go ahead and just give it the same headline that the video has, and then give it a brief description so that people actually want to click it. And for this, I'm going to leave it on the video's watch page. So what YouTube channel page does is it still shows the video, but it shows the video on your channel page. Personally, I just like sending people directly to the watch page because I want them to watch it. I don't want them getting distracted by other things on my channel. And of course, I'd go ahead and give the ad a name and then say version 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3. So for example, if I was doing version 1.2, I would just change up the headline. So I'd have 2 ads, one with headline 1, one with headline 2, and I'd see which one performs the best. And then I'd go ahead and click save and continue. So what we just did is we went through the campaign, we did the settings, and then when we went through the different targeting options, that was the ad group. And then what we just completed with the video itself was the video ad. And so once you click save and continue, your campaign will be made. So I'm going to go to a different example so you can see what the campaign looks like when it's done. So this would be what your campaign looks like when you first complete it. So we went through that entire process, we click save and continue, and we would have one ad group. So inside of this ad group, it's similar audience. I switched out the video for this example. You can see I have one video in here. So chances are we want to be testing other different types of targeting. So I'm going to come back to my ad group level and I'm going to create a new ad group. So to do that, I'm just going to click the big blue plus button, and you'll notice this is a very similar interface. The only thing is the campaign settings are lobbed off the top. So we'll go ahead and give the ad group a name, ad group 2 channels. So this one we're targeting channels. I'm going to go ahead and give it a cost per view of 10 cents. Oh, missed that on the last one. So yeah, 5 or 10 cents is a good place to start. 10 cents is a good place to start. So we're going to go ahead and click placements, and then we'll go ahead and go to YouTube channels, enter multiple channels, and paste in those channel IDs, add, and so we have our 3 channel IDs. Now what we're going to do is we either paste the video URL, which I have right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy video URL, go back to number 1, and then search for it. There it is. It's going to be a video discovery ad, and then I'd go ahead and give it the headline, description, or description 2. I want it to go to the video watch page, and then this would be version 1.1, right, or 1.2. Now, if you are just duplicating a video, you actually don't have to go through this process again. You can go ahead and click skip ad creation, and then click save and continue. select discovery ad. So you will need to know what ad you're going to be doing. And then we're going to go ahead and save the format. And because we're just testing the different targeting and we already have the using the same ad, I can go into the ad group I previously created and Control C on Windows, Command C on Mac, and I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And then I can go back to my ad groups, and then I'll go to the new ad group I just made. So this is ad group 2 channels. And then I'll go ahead and paste the ad. So Control V on Windows or Command V on Mac, and pause after opening. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click paste. Now, if the controls aren't Control V or Command V isn't working, there is actually this little clipboard right here that you can actually paste the ad. So if I clicked on the clipboard, it would do the exact same thing I just did. And so now it's the exact same ad that is in the other ad group, and I can either duplicate it again and change up the headline, or I could just leave it the way it is, because right now all I want to do is test the targeting. So here I have the same ad in all of the ad groups, but the ad groups are targeting different things. So you see ad group 1 is targeting my actual audience. That's a remarketing list. Ad group 2 is targeting a similar audience. Ad group 3 is targeting just channels. So what's really cool is now I'm going to be able to come in here in a week or two and see what type of targeting performed the best to drive views to this video. You'd be doing the exact same thing for an in-stream ad. So as you can see, this is why we're so granular and detailed when we set up our campaign and we set up our ad groups, because it's really easy to see what targeting type is working. So if channels are working, then I'll go find more great channels. If similar audiences are working, I won't bother looking for channels, right? And so that is all there is to it, to setting up your actual campaign. We are on the home stretch now. I'm going to go back to the presentation and we're going to wrap up with experimenting and how you can dramatically continue to decrease the cost of your ads without sacrificing quality. And experimentation is how you continually decrease the cost of your ads and increase your click-through rates and decrease your cost per click, because this is not a static process. There is no one and done when it comes to advertising campaigns. Costs are always changing, audiences are always changing, your ad creative should always be changing, as well as your targeting. So you're going to be continuously testing. And the main reason that we've been so OCD when it comes to setting up our campaigns is making sure that we have good data, because without good data, you can't make good advertising decisions to continue to improve your future campaigns. So as you wrap up watching this really long tutorial, there is a link in the description to a full playlist on how to get all of your other analytics set up. Using something called Google Tag Manager, you're going to want to get something called an AdWords remarketing tag on your website. You're also going to want to make sure Google Analytics is set up correctly. You can actually set up Google Analytics on your YouTube account as well. So there is a video on the channel for that. And as we wrap up, I want to summarize everything that we've gone through so far. So at the campaign level, we have one video per campaign. We have 3 to 5 different audience targeting per ad group, and each ad group has a different type of targeting. As you can see here in this particular example campaign, one audience is channels. There's 3 channels in one ad group. Super simple, right? In another ad group, we're targeting just remarketing visitors. And in the final ad group, we're targeting a similar audience of all channel viewers. So it's really important that you stay very small in your ad groups so it's easy to see what types of targeting is performing. And of course, inside of the campaign, we can test multiple different versions of the same video. And once you've put together 2 or 3 of these campaigns, you're ready to start experimenting with other types of videos, and you can follow the exact same process. Now, what's really cool is with this campaign, I run it for a couple weeks and I find out similar audiences do the best. Well, guess what? When I test my next upload, what I'll do is I'll start with similar audiences and I'll test some other things against it. So similar audiences becomes my control, the benchmark to beat. If I had put together 3 campaigns at once, I would have paid 3 times as much to learn that similar audiences was the place to start. So definitely remember that campaigns stack on each other when you follow this format. And all of your analytics and tracking should go on your website. It should go across every page on your website, Every time you drive traffic off of YouTube, you want analytics, your remarketing tag, even your Facebook pixel, all using Google Tag Manager on that page. So the campaign structure on the left shows what your in-stream ads campaign would look like. You have an ad group, and then inside of that ad group, you're testing two different versions of the same ad, and they're driving traffic to the same landing page. Now on the left, your discovery ad that I'm kind of blocking right now just drives traffic directly to those videos to get more views to those videos. And it's important that you are treating this as a fluid process of learning, because data is ever changing. There's no one and done. I know I keep saying that, but it's so important to not set it and forget it. So I want to thank you so much for watching this super long tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and it wasn't too dry. I did my best to make it fun, but it's something that I get to dive into my own account and client accounts every single day, and I just gobble this stuff up. It's so much fun for me, and I hope this little tutorial just gives you some small insights in how you can be successful with your YouTube ads. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment in the comment section below. I do read and reply to every single one. And if you got some value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Over on the channel, I have a ton more tutorials, in-depth walkthroughs just like this one to help you get set up with Google Analytics, your Google Tag Manager, successfully implement your Facebook tracking pixels, as well as setting up your Facebook campaigns. YouTube is just one of the many traffic sources you have available to you to help grow your channel and your business, and of course, ultimately your income. So comment below if you have any questions, hit that subscribe button, and until the next video, keep building the business you love.